YouTube, what's good? Welcome to another episode of New York Prison Talks. I thank everybody for the support, for the likes and subscribes that y'all been hitting for me. Please keep it coming. Please keep liking, pushing the like button. Please keep helping the brother out. Today I want to talk about, well, let me put it like this. When you get locked up, that's not something, an experience you're used to. It's not like a norm. It's not normal. Not something you're supposed to just be automatically adjusted and you're adapted to. So the whole experience of you just getting locked up and you just the emotions and the way your behavior changes during your incarceration bid is a lot different than the another person as if they were a sex offender. Sex offenders have it a lot harder when they get locked up. Sex offenders have it hard on them bad, off the rip, soon when they get cuffed. Because I know as soon when they get cuffed, I know the police got to be on them. And then once they get in county jail, I know people got to be on them. But I can tell you about what happens in prison with sex offenders. I seen a lot of them. In certain facilities in the state, like Clinton Annex, it was a high rate percentage of rapos, a lot of sex offenders. Over half of the jail population was sex offenders in Clinton Annex. It's a lot of them throughout the whole state. It's a lot of sex offenders. They probably have the most cases out of all type of criminals. I'm not too sure. It just be seeming like that in jail because like you might not be a rapist, you could have some type of like a light sex charge, like some type of like a forcible touch or something. It's considered as a sex charge. But it's a lot of people with rapes in there and just a whole lot of just weird, crazy shit. A lot of sexual assault, sexual harassments. A lot of people got sexual assaults in there. You know, I didn't see dudes get caught up in shit because of that. When I first got locked up and they sent me up top, I went to Clinton. Before I went to Clinton, dudes was telling me about that jail. It was a lot of sex offenders there, and a lot of people began beat up because they sex offenders. So just watch who you talk to. That's what they would tell me. Watch who you talk to. This is how I knew about every jail before I go to every jail. I just always know about what's going on in the jail because I hear it through other people. But they tell me, watch who you talk to. So it wasn't until I had seen somebody look somebody up. Looking somebody up is just grabbing their information, whether it's their DIN number or you know their full name or they date of birth or something. Some type of information that's gonna look them up online. And that tells what type of charges they got. And how long they got, how much time they got, when they got locked up, when they get off, when they go home. It tells everything about you. And some dude had showed me that this dude was a sex offender. He was Muslim. He was a Muslim sex offender. That is a no-go in jail for Muslims at all. With any gang too. That's another thing. Two things. The gays and the sex offenders. Gangs don't allow. And the Muslims don't allow either. They don't allow that shit. Sex offenders and the homos. They don't allow none of them shits. So when that had happened and he showed me that he had one of them charges, he was Muslim. The first thing that happened was they had ran down on him and asked him what was this about. He played it off and he had a good story talking about, oh, it's not what you seem like. I have the paperwork. I got the charge. But if you read the paperwork and if you really look at the paperwork, this, that, and the third, long story short, they wasn't believing his story at all. So what happened was they let him rock out, let him feel like he was good and all that. These the Muslims. This is how the Muslims get down. Let him rock out, let him feel good. Yard time came. All the Muslims had a big meeting in the yard. You see it. About a good, you only supposed to be 6 to a group in the yard. But if you can spread out good enough, you know how to maneuver in the yard where y'all can all be around each other. You just gotta know how to be away and around each other in a certain type of distance where police won't try to yell at y'all for being in more than a group of 6. But when that happened, it was a whole bunch of the Muslims. You could tell you could tell they had a meeting. COs don't be caring in that jail. They do and they don't. It depends, because they got a whole lot of other shit. But they watching. They always watching. They always watching you. That's one thing about the police in there. They always watching you. So they observing. That's their job. That's what they doing. They observing. They might not say nothing, but they watching. They observing. So big meeting happened. The dude was not in part of the meeting. He's on part of the yard playing basketball on the other side. So long story short, at the end of the yard, when the yard rec was over, when rec time was over, and it was go back, they was lining up. They was lining up. All the Muslims. It was 2 Muslims. They was lining up with the dude in the same line as the one in the sex offender. And as they was going and they was walking in the line, dude came from the back of him and cut him. From the back, split his face. Had a Joker face on him. That was the first time I ever seen something like that. I was shook because I didn't see it coming. I didn't know it was coming. I didn't hear about somebody about to get their face ripped off in front of me in the same line. I didn't know nobody to know that shit. That's why it's important to know a few people in jail that could tell you shit, and you always know shit that's going on, because shit just be popping off in front of you and you don't be fucking knowing what's going on, and then you just caught up in the mix for no reason. You gotta always be on point. Always gotta be nosy. Just be nosy in a way where people not knowing that you being nosy, but always be on point. Always gotta be nosy. Be sneaky. That's one thing you gotta be. You gotta just be sneaky. And this shit happened. I didn't get caught up in this situation, but the police had questioned me because I was right there. The dude was right in front of me when he got cut. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I'm not Muslim, not part of the Muslims, none of that shit. I'm brand new, still trying to learn what the fuck prison's about and shit. Now I'm learning niggas just be getting cut, walking, going fucking back to their cell, going back to your dorm. You walking, you could just get cut in the middle of the line. Now I know that. And that's only one thing. Sex offenders be getting beat up they whole bit. They get extorted, they get bullied, and they get cut. They be getting all that shit. A lot of sex offenders get extorted. This is what they do. They know the dude's pussy, so they know that they don't have no support, because police is not gonna like them, because they rape them. They not liking them at all. COs don't like no sex offenders, especially if you got one of them cases that's known. They definitely gonna be on your body and gonna make sure that inmates be on your body too. They gonna make sure they'll line shit up for a sex offender to get beat up. They'll make sure it happen. I seen that happen. I seen it happen in Franklin. My first week in Franklin, I seen a sex offender get beat up. The way how Franklin is built up is a medium facility. It's the dorms, but in the dorms is 2 sides of the dorms, and there's a door that's splitting both sides of the houses. It's 2 complete houses. So what happened was a CO came from one side of the house, opened up the middle door, and went to talk to the other CO on the other side of the house. Now, when that happens, both of the dorm units, the housing units, could see each other's sides. So they seen each other's sides. The one dude is like talking, he is bloods. It's not that many people in the dorms either. It's probably about a good 15 people in each dorm, because everybody's at program. So the one blood like, yo, you see that dude right there? He like, who? He's like, the nigga right there. He's like, who, him? He's like, nah, the white boy's sitting down. He's like, yeah. He said, what about him? He said, yo, that nigga's a rapo. He said, what? Police came back, locked the door. The bloods went up to the CO, asked the CO if they could beat him up. The CO said, yeah. What happened was the other CO came back, and when he came back, that CO told that CO, and then They was gone for about a good 5 minutes. Both of the COs. For about a good 5 minutes, they was gone. And when they was gone, the dudes ran down on that rapo and started beating the shit out of him. They beat him up and they cut him. That's one thing about prison. They like to cut somebody. They just don't like to fight. They like to cut. They like to make sure they leave some type of mark on you. They cut the shit out of him. They cut him. What happened was when the CO came back to the other side, the rapo went up to the CO and was like, somebody just cut me. He's saying who did it. The rapo's not saying who did it. So the CO really don't care, and he knows about it, but he gotta call it in. But he's not pressing it on trying to make it seem like he's trying to get other inmates involved, cause he already know he don't care about this shit. But he gotta call it in. So he calls it in. They take that dude out. Police really don't give a fuck about him. The other police that snatched him up because he's a rapo. So if you a rapo and you in jail, that's gonna be mad problems because the inmates ain't gonna like you and the police definitely ain't gonna like you. And that's gonna be problems on both ends. You gonna be getting fucked up by them and you gonna be getting fucked up by them. Both ways. Or the COs might line you up through the inmates and you get fucked up. And that's gonna be even worse. Because if you get fucked up by the inmate, that's gonna be even worse. I'm telling you that's going to be even worse. Because they could put it on paper however they want to put it on paper. And they could, an inmate or another nigga could just beat you the fuck up as much as they could. And the CO could make it seem like it was nothing crazy on paper. Or they won't even report this shit. They'll make sure that that you'll try to tell them. They'll be like, yeah, I'm going to log in there. I'm going to call it in. Make sure that this shift come and leave and don't report none of that shit. And then now you got a whole nother officer on the next shift looking at your face like, what the fuck happened to you? And you trying to explain to him, and the CO not believing you because the other CO that just left didn't tell him what happened. So now you trying to explain, I just told the other CO this, that, and the third. The CO looking at you like, you're lying because he didn't say nothing to me about it. What happened to your face? And now you getting in trouble for something you didn't do. And that happens to a lot of rapos. And the COs don't be giving a fuck at all if they get cut and none of that shit. All they do is send you to the medical. You get patched up. You might get stitched up. If it's too bad, you might go to the hospital and they stitch you up or whatever. A lot of jails, they just put a little patch on you, a little tape, go back to your cell. You good. That's Comstock. They do it like that in Comstock. Each jail is different. Some jails, they'll just send you to the other side of the jail where y'all don't see each other like that. If you got a problem with somebody, them rapos be getting beat the fuck up. They get extorted like a motherfucker too. They get extorted. That's one thing I'm gonna say. They get extorted in ways with food. If they know they getting a lot of packages. This is what a lot of dudes do. You don't gotta be blood to do this. You could be anybody to extort a rapo in jail. Anybody could do it. You know he's soft. He don't even gotta be soft. You know he's a rapo. It's just problems. It's a rare few people that's rapos that's built like that to fight niggas and just built like that. Cause it's be hard. I'm telling you, it's hard for them sex offenders because they gotta deal after the inmates. They gotta deal with the COs, and that's just the icing of the cake. You just gonna be having just fucked up shit. You might be in a box. They might be spitting in your trays every time you get your food in a box. They might just be not giving you toilet paper when you need toilet paper. You might be trying to call for sick call slips, or you trying to send your mails and letter out. They just ignoring your cell or walking past your cell. Yeah, let you be I never seen it happen, but I never had a bunkie as a rapo in the box, but I know the vibes of that shit because they do it to dudes in population. So I definitely know how they could treat somebody that's a rapo in the box. I definitely know. I don't be around them type of dudes, and I was never around them type of dudes in the box. I was around a whole lot of bloods in the box, but it'd be nasty. I seen also a rapo get shot in Clinton Annex for he was blood and he was a rapo. This is bad, even if this is even worse. If you blood and you have a sex charge and you don't report that shit to your other homies, like meaning you don't show paperwork and you not showing details and you just playing games with your shit, Them Bloods will get you even worse. Like, I'm telling you, I just seen it worse. This made me be on point every single day. After this time, I seen somebody get shot in the yard. Like, the way they caught the nigga was so good. The way, like, they really caught him. They was just chilling with him. They was on the basketball court, and they was just chilling with him. All of a sudden, a little Spanish little blood nigga jumped up to him like Yoda. Just little Spanish nigga jumped up to him. Baka. Split his whole face. From head back to all the way his lip. He had a beard. Like, he had a beard. Nice thick beard. Not too long. But you could see how much blood was coming off his face with all that hair on his face. And the dude that cut him was like 5'2", like 120. And he cut him with a little ass scalpel that's about 1 inch long. And that just destroyed his whole face. The dude didn't know what to do. He's trying to chase the dude that cut him. He couldn't catch him. By that time, he only had about 15 seconds to try to catch him. He couldn't catch him. Then now the COs is on him. And that's problems. The crazy thing about it was, when he was in Key Block, he ended up going to Key Block. He ended up showing his fucking paperwork after that. And it ended up showing that like, I guess his paperwork was kind of not like what his charges was saying type shit. He kind of proved his point, but it didn't matter because he got shot. If you blood, you Muslim, you one of them shit, or anybody, you talking to somebody that's banging, that's gang banging or involved, and you dealing with nigga, and you a rapo, you better not talk to them niggas no more. You better just stay anti-social. Because they gonna extort you, they gonna beat you up, and they gonna cut you. That's the main things that be happening. They gonna just beat you up. They'll just run up in your cell. Go to Elmira, they'll run up in your cell as soon as they open up everybody's cell. Because if you in G Block, and you in Elmira in G Block, and they open up all the cells to go to program, the COs can't see that whole tier because there's a whole bunch of dudes just in the tier, in the middle of that shit. Only the COs is at the end of each tier, and let all of them cells pop open at the same time, and you a rapo, or you crip, or you got one of them type of problems with blood, or just somebody where niggas could just run down in your cell, 3 or 4 people, and beat the shit out of you at once. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's how it be in Elmira when it comes to the rapos and the crips. They'll run down on you, 3 or 4 of them in the cell in G Block. I was only in G Block. I don't know about the other blocks. But in G Block, because G Block is different. They got doors in the G Block. And when they pop all them doors open, you can't see nothing when everybody stepped out their cell. You can't see that whole hallway down. It's just too packed. And it's just a CO at one end of the hallway and an other end of the hallway, meaning tiers. One end of the tier and the other end of the tier. And they can't see shit. And dudes that's in the middle of them tiers got problems with dudes. I feel sorry for them because they could get it the worst. Because they could have 5, 6 niggas just run down in their cell for 10 seconds and beat the shit out of them, run back out of their cell, and just go to the mess hall, go to program like nothing happened. And that's jail. They'll run down on you, beat you up real quick, and run back out the cell like nothing happened. And you ain't doing nothing about it if you pussy. If you a rapo, not all that shit. Cause that's the type of dudes that be happening to dudes that probably crip or rapo sex offenders or got problems with people. Dudes that be having a lot of people problems and shit. With multiple people. You might be beefing with a whole bunch of blood gangs that don't like you. They just don't like you because you always might be just beefing with niggas or just grilling niggas and shit. They will run down on you type shit and beat you the fuck up. Word. That's dangerous if you in jail because them sex offenders be getting extorted through the max. I seen dudes that so every time they get a package, it's gone. Every time they get money sent, it might be gone. If it's not gone, it's going to be gone at commissary. Because that's what's going to happen. You get $50 at the store, it's going to be that whole $50 is going to somebody else. Or 3 or 4 people split it up at once. Every time. If you got a sex charge. I remember in Franklin, it was this one dude that everybody was cool with. You would never think he was cool. His name was Jay. He was my son. Like, everybody had fucked with him in the whole house. Like, everybody. He was a people person. He worked out with everybody. He was just cool. He had a good personality. He was a good dude. He wasn't gang banging. He just liked to play casino, and he just liked to just casino and spades all day long. That's all he liked to do, was play spades and just bet. He ended up getting transferred. Now, when he got transferred, we found out he was a sex offender. We didn't find out the whole time he didn't look like the type, because the sex offenders be having a certain look. A lot of them be looking old or white and just pale looking. They look dingy, or they just look weird. They might be in behavioral health units or some type of mental health units, some shit like that. You could tell. In jail, you could tell between the rapals and just another average criminal. It'd be differences. But this dude just looked at average. He was getting packages. He was getting visits. He was always on the phone. Everybody fucked with him. He was always getting commissary. The dudes that worked in my house worked in the draft room. Meaning the draft room is the room where all your property leaves right before you go to the facility. They put your property onto the draft bus. Now, those dudes worked in the draft room, and when they checked his bags and they seen the tag of what facility he was going to next, and they seen that it was that certain facility, I forget the name of it, it's been a minute, but that facility, I think it's Shawanga, that facility had, if you go in there, you basically know you got to take a program there because you a sex offender. And when dudes seen that he had that name on his tag, dudes started bugging out. Those dudes that worked in the draft rooms was like his mans type shit, and they was his workout partners. Both of the two white boys was his workout partner. The dude was about my complexion, and everybody fucked with him in the whole house. Bloods, everybody. Because he worked out, and dudes fuck with him on a workout tip, and dudes just fuck with him in the house, just like cards, playing cards and stuff. And when they found that out, they didn't tell nobody at first. They didn't tell nobody until he went on the draft and went to a whole nother facility. We was all shocked. Everybody after that started looking up everybody online and shit, seeing it, started grabbing up everybody's DIN number, seeing if they a raper and stuff like that. Because you can't trust nobody in jail. That's one thing about it. You just can't trust nobody. He played it off so good that he was a regular average dude. Whatever he got locked up for, whatever. Sex offenders, we look at them a lot different than other criminals in jail. It's like a whole different type of criminal. You just like sex offender, my nigga. Like, that's just the worst of the worst. You violated somebody. And it's like, you don't deserve any privileges, so you get done on both ways. And he played it all so good like he wasn't, and got away with that shit. It was just crazy. We all started looking up people. I done looked up so many people. I done caused problems with people. I done gotten people hurt because I done told other people that he was sex offender and shit like that. And they ran down on him and stopped fucking with him, or they just to beat him up or something. It be like that in prison. It's like, it's just crazy. It's like, if them sex offenders have it bad, they have it very bad. Don't be committing crimes out here, people. I'm telling y'all. Y'all don't be, especially not no sex offender crime. If you one of them people that got a problem, you better get help. Because if you go to jail, you ain't going to get no help. And it's going to be problems for you. I'm telling you, for real. Because that shit get nasty. Don't commit crimes, period. These videos that I make is just, well, this video right here, I was just talking about sex offenders, but I make a lot of videos for people that is struggling, or people that need advice that's about to get locked up. Because there's a lot of people that be dealing with the courts, and they know they might do time. Like, look at Tory Lane. He might get do time. You never know. It just, people like them take a good advice. And I like to talk about this shit too, because dudes be talking about this on other YouTube videos, but they don't be talking about the stuff I be talking about. Like, I like to talk about stuff that really be going on in New York. And I thank everybody that came to watch my videos, and I ask that y'all please like and subscribe to videos. Peace out.